Civil society groups in South Africa have published a joint statement in support of the state capture inquiry chairperson, that's Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. The organizations, which include the Kathrada Foundation and Freedom Under Law, say they're against attacks on the judiciary by politicians who don't produce evidence to back up their claims. With the Constitutional Court expected to consider the state capture inquiry submission over Zuma's refusal to appear there, the groups say the former president should abide by the country's laws. Now, Naushina Rahim is with the Secretariat of the Civil Society Working Group on State Capture. She joins us now via our video link in Cape Town. Naushina, good morning once again. Thanks very much for staying with us, or for joining us this morning on the AM report. So the Civil Society Working Group, it's an impressive group of various civil society organizations. But I suppose, would you say that broader South Africa's in general, share your concerns about the state capture inquiry and the perceived attacks on the judiciary?
Morning, and thank you for having me, Michelle. Yes, to answer you, I think what we can say is that civil society represents and works hard to protect the Constitution, the rule of law, as well as accountability on behalf of the public. And so, as a country, we have waited nearly a decade to hear the truth about state capture. And, you know, we've invested as the public through our taxpayers' money and through waiting for answers over state capture over the past few years. And so definitely that these concerns are shared by the entire country.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you say, millions and millions of rands spent on the state capture inquiry. What would it mean if the former president does not make an appearance to testify?
Well, he's no ordinary citizen, that's for sure. He is a known public figure, and he's the former president. So by defying the Zondo Commission, and by extension, the summons issued by the Constitutional Court, he's sending the message to ordinary South Africans that if you have status and money, you can disregard the law. And even worse, he's undermining a lawful process, which South Africans have been waiting and waiting to hear the answers to. So I think it's a very dangerous precedent to be setting.
Is there danger, Naushina, that, you know, if we don't hear from Jacob Zuma as former president, as you say, I mean, the state capture inquiry is something that he signed into being in his time as president. But if we don't hear his side of the story, it's surely impossible to say that the work of the state capture inquiry is complete.
Agreed. I mean, the Zondo Commission will have no choice but to make these findings, but there will always be a host of affidavits. I think, if I'm correct, it's about 35 affidavits which implicate the former president. And for the country to hear the truth, now is the opportunity. Now is the time for the former president to come forward, if he so claims that he's got nothing to hide, to come and then give his side of the story.
And of course, the option is still available to former President Jacob Zuma to give that testimony, as has been done by many other witnesses, via a video link. If, you know, part of his reasons for not appearing there is because of ill health, his inability to travel to and from his home in Nkandla, for an example, it is still possible that he give that testimony and do so from home.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, the Zondo Commission has gone above and beyond, especially with COVID, to make these sort of arrangements, and so that people can give testimony through video. And I don't see any excuse for someone not being able to at least respond via affidavits to allegations where they are implicated.
Yeah. So we saw Jacob Zuma missing the deadline to file his answering affidavits in his contempt of court case earlier this week. What are you hoping for when the Constitutional Court considers his defiance of the state capture inquiry later this month?
I think the Civil Society Working Group on State Capture would like to see the former president face the legal consequences for defying the Commission. And as we'd also like to see, as the Zondo Commission itself has asked for in their papers, for the former president to be jailed for 2 years for defying the summons. And I think this is what we'd like to see, because this has now delayed the process tremendously. It's frustrated the process, and it's not fair to others who have actually abided by the law and come forward to give their side of the story before the commission.
Naushina, several comments being made, derogatory comments being made, not only about Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, but about the state capture inquiry itself, about other arms of the judiciary as well. What's your message? What's your call to political players who sort of on a whim, when they don't agree with a decision from one court or the other, make these damning statements against the judiciary? What is your call to them?
I think when it comes to the judiciary, we always, I mean, as a lawyer myself, we always want to kind of stay out of, to keep the line and toe the line between politics and the law, and not to confuse the two. And I don't think it's fair when political players then cross that line and using their political clout to then start attacking the judiciary. If there is evidence against people in the judiciary that isn't doing their job or are probably rotten apples in the box, then that should be dealt with professionally with a lawful process, and not just accusations being made without evidence to support that.
So 700 million rand, I was just looking for the figure, more than 700 million rand is what has been spent on the state capture inquiry so far. We saw an attempt on the life of a witness set to testify at the state capture inquiry as well over the past few days. We've seen whistleblowers risking their lives, risking their careers, so that they can help paint the full picture of state capture over the last 10 years. We hope, all of us do, that it won't all go wasted, don't we?
Yes, I think this is why the public support is so important, and it's so important now for the Civil Society Working Group. That's why we issued the statement, is to show and call the unity of the country together, to really show that we are standing firm behind the work of the Zondo Commission, and we want to see it through to its end, because we've all invested in this process.
Naushina, thanks very much for your time this morning. Naushina Rahim is with the Secretariat of the Civil Society Working Group on state capture. They've published a joint statement in support of the state capture inquiry, in support of its chair, that's Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. Thanks very much indeed for your time.